Hey, you guys. Welcome to Thursdays. I am your host, Karen Bailey. Let me know when you're on. I would love to say hello to you guys. Happy Thursday, everybody. I hope you guys' day is going well. Mine has been so busy. I rushed in here on two wheels, but the devil is a lie. I'm here and I'm going to impart some knowledge and some wisdom to you guys that I wish somebody would have given to me. I hope you guys enjoyed the Throwback Thursday from last week. I think it was about 2 years old, and it was called You're in Good Hands. And that was perfect timing with everything that's going on in the world with our government, just all the chaos and unrest. You know, you just need to know that God's got you and that you're in good hands. So you guys, hey Paulette, hey you guys, I'm going to go ahead and get started in the interest of time because I've got stuff to do and I know you have stuff to do. So I'm just not going to delay us any further. My topic today, you guys, is, hey, sis, he ain't healed yet. You know, a lot of times when we're single, when we're out here trying to date, when we're out here trying to meet new people, because a lot of times it's not just the men that aren't healed. Sometimes those friends we're trying to connect with, sometimes they haven't healed either. And sometimes connecting with people that are still wounded or connecting with people that don't want to work on themselves and don't want to work on being better. They just want to sit around and have a pity party and feel sorry for themselves. Sometimes that's not good for us. Sometimes that slows our progress and keeps us from going the direction that we need to go. But today I want to talk about men that aren't healed. And a lot of us, like I said, are aspiring to date, you know, maybe even get married one day. But it's imperative that we be conscious of the fact that some men can appear to check all the boxes. They look good, they smell good, they say the right things, they drive the right kind of car, they live in the right kind of house. But until you get to know that man, you will not know if he's healed or not. And men, just like most of us, are good at hiding what they don't want you to see. So just understand that a lot of times you're going to see the superficial when it comes to dating, when it comes to meeting new people, meeting new men. So you have got to be patient enough. You have got to be smart enough, and you have got to be willing to put some time in so that you can get to know these guys before you end up in a situation that you're going to later regret. And the reason I can talk about that is because I used to look at the outside. I used to listen to what they said and how nicely they dressed and how they presented themselves. And I really, truly believe that's who I was dealing with. That's what I was going to get. But life has taught me that just because it looks good on the outside does not mean that it's right on the inside. And then sometimes we don't meet the real person, you guys. Sometimes we meet what I like to call and what the world calls the representative. You know, the representative is the one that gets out there and gets the job done. The representative is the one that gets out there and gets your attention, that gets your phone number, that gets your Instagram info, that gets your Snapchat info. That's the representative. That's that person that you see that you're attracted to, or you like the way they look, or you like the way they talk, and you're like, oh, okay, this could be something. But see, that representative is that ideal version of the person that you want. And a lot of times, that representative is not what you're going to get in the long run. And the representative is the best version of that person that they show you. Because why wouldn't you put the best out there if you're trying to catch something? If you're trying to secure something, you want to put all the good out. But you're going to later on be able to spot a shift from this ideal version of the person, of the man, to the true self. And you're going to see how his behavior changed. You're going to see how he can't be consistent. And that's one of the ways that you can tell that you've met the representative. There's going to be inconsistencies. That person's going to say one thing, but they're going to do another. Or they're going to behave one way for a little while, and then next thing you know, they're going to behave in a way that you're not ready for and that you wouldn't expect. When you realize you've met the representative, you're going to see that there's some secrecy about that man. He'll be secretive about his phone. When his phone rings, he'll get up and he'll take the call out of your earshot. Or he'll turn his phone over so you can't see who's texting him. Or he'll take his phone in the other room. He'll be afraid to leave his phone out in front of you. That's that representative, because he's got some secrets. He's got some things he's not yet ready to share with you, or some things that he's not ready to be exposed over. And then that representative will also show sudden changes. Sometimes they don't dress as well as they did when you first started dating them. All of a sudden their appearance is not important to them. They don't dress up for your dates like they used to. They're not being as much of a gentleman, and their style has changed up. That's because they're comfortable now. Now they can start showing who they really are. The representative was to get you interested, to get you, get your mind wrapped around them, get your attention, your energy wrapped around them. And once they know that they've got that in a secure place, things are going to change. And then you also know when you've met the representative, when they start making a bunch of lame excuses. They got an excuse for everything. One thing I've learned about people, when they don't want to be accountable, they got an excuse for everything. And that person will change plans on you. All of a sudden something came up. All of a sudden they have to work. All of those things will start happening when you know that you've met that representative. And there's reasons why men send in their representative instead of sending in their authentic self. Number one, fear of judgment. Number two, fear of rejection. Number three, they are trying to fit in with society. They're pretending to be something that they're not. Number four, insecurity about who they really are. And number five, they need to be able to control how you perceive them. So those are some reasons why men might send in their representative. Number six, trying to project an image that is more socially acceptable, more confident, because they want to achieve praise. They want to be able to fit in. They want to be able to look like they're a better version of what you used to have, that you're getting something better than you've ever had before. Number seven is false protection. They want to avoid being disapproved and being criticized. So they hide themselves behind this persona that helps them fit in. So you guys, how do we recognize when a man is still broken? How do we know that he hasn't done the work to heal from the trauma of his past? Because number one, it's easy to fall in love with the representative, you guys. And I find myself doing that, and then I always suffer later. And then what you tolerate from the very beginning, you guys, is what is going to become your prison later on. Because when you tolerate things, when you allow people to switch up on you, when you allow people to make a lot of excuses, when you allow people to put you on the back burner, oh, I'll call you back, and then he never calls you back. Oh, I'm gonna text you later, but you never hear from them. If you allow that from the beginning, then you're setting a pattern of behavior. You're setting acceptable behavior that you can't talk about later on, that you can't complain about later on. Because, hey, Christy, because you allowed this from the beginning, then you are setting the tone for this relationship. And then there's a saying that people, they say hurt people hurt people. And that's not quite right, you guys, because I've been hurt, you've been hurt. We know a lot of people that have been hurt, and we don't go around hurting people. So I think the saying should say that hurting people hurt people. You know, when you're still hurting and you don't do the work to get healed, you don't do the work to get that thing up off of you and out of your spirit and let some things go and cry those things out and get your healing, then you're more likely to hurt somebody else because you're broken. You don't know how to even treat yourself, so how would you treat anybody else? And for most of us, because we were hurt, we can understand how hard it is to get your healing. But it's not impossible. You got to want it. That is a thing that you have got to pursue for yourself. You know, a lot of people that want to sit up and still talk about who did what to them and who broke their heart, who cheated on them, who betrayed them, they are choosing to stick with this stuff year after year after year. Once you make up your mind that is not going to be your reality, once you make up your mind that you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, once you make up your mind that you're tired of feeling those hurt feelings that you're feeling, then you can start doing something about it. But it all starts with you. It all starts with a step. And then if you're hurting and you never get your healing, there's some things that are going to grow up in your spirit, whether you like it or not. Number one, it's going to be bitterness. You're going to be bitter. You're going to hate it when you see people doing good. You're going to have something negative to say, you know, just because it didn't happen to you. Malice, you're going to want to get even with people. You can't see the good in people simply because something bad happened to you. Envy, you're going to want what other people want. You're going to always be looking over in somebody else's yard, talking about how did they get this? How did they get that? They're no better than me. I don't know how she got this. Because you're jealous. But those are the things that grow up in your spirit when you don't heal. You can even have hate in your heart, you guys. You can hate the person that hurt you. And all you do is imprison yourself. That person is not thinking about you. That person has moved on with their life. You are controlled by the hate. They're not. And then there's this unfounded mistrust. You don't trust nobody. Everybody's sneaky to you. You know, you think everybody's got a motive. And people can't even help you or bless you or get close to you because you don't trust anybody, because you have not healed. And then deceit. You know, people that are not healed tend to be very sneaky, tend to try to sabotage blessings of other people simply because they feel like they don't deserve it. Since you can't have it, they don't deserve it either. Or you try to find ways of kind of knocking people down a peg because you've been through something that you haven't healed from. And the last thing that grows up in your spirit, you guys, when you don't heal is unforgiveness. A lot of times we've made so many mistakes, we don't forgive ourselves. And then we also don't forgive other people. And that alone can cause you to miss out on the blessings of God. People don't want to be around you because you have all of this hate and malice in your heart and unforgiveness in your heart. Those things, they are not attractive. When you're always complaining, you're always talking bad about other people. That's that jealousy and that unforgiveness in your heart. And these are the things, you guys, that lead a person that's hurting to hurt somebody else. That's why it's so important that you get healed from those things from your past, because it's definitely keeping you from the blessings God has for you in your future. So what are some things, you guys, that men have a hard time healing from? You know, men have a bigger challenge than we do. You know, we're allowed to cry about things. We're allowed to, hey, Latoya, we're allowed to be upset about things. We're allowed to vent about things. But, you know, society treats men so bad when it comes to that. And men often face unique challenges, you know, to try to heal from the horrible experiences from their past, because society always, number one, feels like men have to be strong 24/7. And number two, they have to be self-reliant. They can't ask for help. If they ask for help, they're less than a man. You know, I can do it myself if you got to ask for help. You know, we are so hard on men that just are trying to get better. And then society says men can't be emotional. You know, they can't get upset about things, or they're angry. You know, they can't cry about things, or they're less than a man, or they're a wimp, or they're whipped. You know, those type of things that we say about men when they're broken. They're broken and they have nowhere to turn. So that's part of why I wanted to talk about this, is because you got to recognize it. Because while it's not our job, it's not our job to heal them, but we do need to recognize when they're broken and when they're still trying to heal, so that we can govern ourselves appropriately. You know, sometimes we try to push men into relationships with us, you guys, and that man is not healed. You know, but if you can recognize that he's not healed, you can learn to slow your roll a little bit and learn to become his friend, learn to become his confidant, learn to become his prayer partner before you try to get into a romantic relationship with him. Hey, Shakita. So these are some things that a lot of men have a lot of difficulty healing from. Number one, childhood trauma. Childhood trauma. You know, we have no idea, unless these men open up and talk to us, about what they've had to go through in their lifetime. You know, there's so many things that are even put on little boys. You know, we teach little boys, you know, get up, stop crying, don't be crying, go play, you all right, you're tough. You know, we say those things to them when they're little, even as toddlers. We say those things to them, so we condition them not to feel. We condition them that if you're crying, there's something wrong with you. If you're hurting, there's something wrong with you. So childhood trauma. And I can honestly say I know a lot of men that, you know, were raised in single parent homes. You know, while they were the child, sometimes they had to be the man of the house. That's traumatizing in itself. For children, for boys to have to stand up and act like the men before they're mature, because they're the only male in the house. So a lot of times it's the mother's fault that they put their children in an adult person's place, and they traumatize those boys trying to make them be a man before their time. And then number two, some of them have mommy issues or daddy issues. Some of them, you know, mom has told them their whole life that they were just like their no good daddy, or you're going to be just like your daddy, or you're going to end up just like your daddy. You know, have said some really hard things to these men, you know, over their lifetime. And then there's those moms that don't know how to let go. You know, the mom that wants her grown son to not only be her son, but also be her husband. You know, that's always buttoning his relationships. That's always calling him over, wanting him to do stuff for her when he's in a relationship. You know, always trying to assert her dominance to his girlfriend or his wife, saying, you know, I'm his first love. You know, he's always going to choose me over you. So those things do things to men. Those things hurt them. They traumatize them by doing those things. And then the daddy issues. You know, how many guys do we know that their dad was not in their life? How many guys do we know and their dad was a horrible example for them. How many guys do we know that had to deal with stepdads that abused them, that didn't love them, or dads that were abusive or alcoholics or drug addicts? So men go through a lot, you guys, and they really need to get healed. And then another thing that's hard for men to heal from is the death of someone close to them. You know, because like I said, they're not allowed to break down and cry and feel what they need to feel. They got to be strong all the time. You know, so a lot of times they're not even allowed to grieve the way that they need to. Number 4, another thing that's really hard for men to deal with is infidelity in a relationship. You know, one thing I never understood is, you know, women are a lot more forgiving when it comes to that. But men, for some reason, it just hits them to their core, and they just struggle with forgiving that woman and trusting that woman again. Number 5, a betrayal by somebody that they trusted, whether it be a friend or a family member. They don't get over that very easily. Number 6, being rejected by a woman or even a family member or a family itself, you know, being the one that they call the no good in the family or the black sheep in the family. That's a hard thing to live with, to know that even your own family doesn't have your back. And then number 7, this is the last thing I have listed, that's hard for them to get over is their past mistakes. Because just like us, we always think we should have known better. We're smarter than that. What was I thinking? Why did I do that? But men, they take that to heart. And a lot of times they are so hard on themselves because they don't have anybody coming to them saying, you know what, you messed up, but it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. You're going to get back on the right track. Women are better about doing that than men are. You know, men will remind you of your mistakes. While women, a lot of times, we're more supportive, we're more loving, we're more compassionate when it comes to that. And so let's talk about signs that say he's not healed, sis. Number 1, avoidance of difficult conversations. You know, if he becomes quiet or emotionally withdrawn, especially when the conversation is about his past or even talking about y'all's future, that man is not healed. He's got some unresolved issues. That's why it's hard for him to get in the conversation. He don't even want to be there, simply because he's not even ready for those type of conversations. But we got to recognize that. Number 2, sometimes they have control and anger issues. You know, he may lash out at you all of a sudden and you didn't mean any harm. You know, just because he's feeling vulnerable, just because he didn't like how he thought you said something. You know, those misunderstandings, quick to misunderstand, quick to get mad about things. He's got some stuff he's not healed from, sis. Number 3, difficulty trusting others. If he's always skeptical of other people, always overly suspicious, always telling you, you know, you better watch her, you better this, and I don't know why you letting her get that close to you. If he's always spreading that be careful or that watch out for her or watch out for him type thing, he's got some trust issues. He's got trust issues. And those kind of people, if you make a mistake, it's hard to get their trust back. If they're already not healed from something from their past, and then you do something, you make a mistake that causes you to lose their trust, it is almost impossible to get it back because they've made up their mind about you because of something that's happened in their past and because they're not healed. I went through this in a relationship. Because they were not healed, every time an argument came up, he reminded me of where I messed up. Every time we went out, He was suspicious of everything. He was looking at other people, trying to start fights with other people, always saying somebody's looking over here. Why do you know them? And why are you talking to him? You know, everything is suspicious because he no longer trusts you. And because he hasn't been healed, there's a good chance that he won't. And then number 4, when they stay excessively busy just to avoid getting close to you. You know, nobody is that busy. If they're trying to get to know you, sis, if that man is interested in you, he will make time for you. But if he's a person that's not healed, he's going to stay busy because he don't want to take a chance of really connecting with you the way he needs to connect with you because he don't want to be vulnerable. That's because he's not healed from his past issues. And then also they stay busy so that they don't have to deal with their own issues. And number 5, low self-esteem. If you're always having to fluff this man up, tell him he looks good, always having to compliment him all the time, or he feels like you don't love him, or when somebody compliments him, he thinks you're flirting with him, and he always thinks everybody wants him just because they compliment him. That guy's got some self-esteem issues, and he needs to be validated by everybody. That man needs to heal. Number 6, they have a tendency to repeat dysfunctional patterns in a relationship. You know, you would think that we would learn, but a person that's not healed will do the same stuff to another person and expect a different result because they're not healed. They didn't learn anything from the last time, and they didn't take the lesson from the last time they messed up. So just understand that. Number 8, he'll have mood swings. He will have difficulty managing his emotions, which leads to the mood swings and oftentimes that immature behavior. You know, that's that man that, you know, you try to talk to him about something that maybe you didn't like that he did, whatever. He gets his keys and says, well, I'm out, and he leaves. Or he gets up from the table in the restaurant and gets mad and leaves you sitting at the table. Or he drives off, you know, just because you're trying to have a serious conversation with him and he doesn't like the way the conversation is going. That's immaturity. That's somebody that's really not invested in you. He's only there for the good time. He doesn't want to deal with the bumps in the road. So that person is not healed. And then that person also will start arguments over the smallest thing, the tiniest thing. They get upset over it. Know that that man is not healed. That's not normal. He's not healed. Number 9, poor communication skills. If you can't talk to that man without him getting loud, getting rude, getting disrespectful, getting a misunderstanding very quickly without even listening to what you're saying. He's already got things set up in his head, what you're thinking and what you meant by something. He's uncompromising. He won't let you speak. That man has poor communication skills. That man is broken on the inside, because any man that's healed is going to want to hear you out. They are open to your perspective. They are open to a dialogue with you, no matter how hard the conversation is. A man that's healed, they can handle the hard conversations. They can handle a challenge. They can handle constructive criticism. They can handle an assignment. But when you're already broken, it's always everybody's picking on me. I guess I just do everything wrong. I guess I don't do nothing right. Be careful with those type of men, because that man is not healed. Number 10, and this one's a big one, an inability to commit to the future. This is the man that will date you for 3, 4, 5, 6 years and never plan to marry you. This is the man that is there for the good times, but as soon as you start talking serious, he gets an attitude. He can't commit to your future because he's broken. He's broken. He doesn't even know who he is. Therefore, he doesn't know how to be anything to you. But he's hoping you'll just keep tolerating him and keep giving him your time and giving him your youth and giving him your energy and giving him your love without him having to sacrifice anything. Because a commitment means sacrifice. Commitment means it's just you and me. That's right. He out. It's just you and me. And that's a commitment because there's millions of people in the world. And for you to say it's just you and me, that's a big commitment. And he'll never be able to do it because he is afraid to commit to you because what if it don't work out? What if there's something better out there and I done lock myself in with her? That man is not healed because he don't even know what he wants and he sure don't know what he needs. Number 11. He's still attached to an ex. And a lot of people think that's, he's still in love with her. No, a lot of times he's still talking negative about her, blaming her, stalking her all on her social media, talking about, look at her. She over there and she act like, she don't have any money and I'm paying child support and she on vacation. Why are you worrying about what she's doing in her private time? That man is still attached to his ex. And that's that same man that blames his ex for everything that went wrong in the relationship. Run. I'm telling y'all, I done been with these guys. Every last one of them that I'm talking about, run. Don't be like me. Run. And number 12, won't take accountability. This was a big one. Big one. Oftentimes they blame everybody else, but never tell you about their part. They never tell you what they did wrong. They never tell you how they messed up. And they're very slow to apologize or admit any mistakes. And they're not going to apologize to you either because they've got it in their mind that there's nothing wrong with them, but there's always something wrong with everybody else. You guys, these are the men that are out here. They're not healed. They're not your soulmate. They're not the connection you need to make. These are the kind of men that you need to pray for. It's all right to be friends with them, but do not let them in if they're broken. I've let broken men in, and they have broke me after I was healed. And I don't want to see y'all go through that. I've had men, I would be in a good place, and I allowed that representative that looked like he had it going on, said everything, did everything the way he was supposed to. Baby, once everything locked down, or I said I do, all hell broke loose. So I don't want y'all to go through what I went through. And I can look back now and I see where I ignored the signs, where I allowed the representative to put blinders over my eyes, when I tolerated things that ended up being my prison later on in the relationship, and I ended up on my knees crying and begging God to help me get out of these relationships with these toxic, broken men. Because they pollute your spirit, you guys. And that's why this was so important for me to bring it forth. Because women need to understand, you can be good all by yourself. Don't you let society lie to you. They lying to you. You can be good by yourself. You can be healed and you can be whole by yourself. But if you're not careful, you get to your good place and you let one of these boogers slither in, that representative slither in, they will break you all over again. And then you're going to have to go through and you're going to have to do the work to get back whole. And my final thought is at the end of the day, you guys, we all have been broken in some kind of way. But each of us here made a decision. We made a choice that we wanted to be better. And that required work, that required sacrifice, that required tears, that required us getting ourselves right with God, that required us praying. And so we did the work. So we should not accept anything less as far as a partner for us. We don't need to take on broken things. That's not our job to fix them. Only God can fix somebody that's broken. And I hear guys say, I want a woman to be my peace. Don't you fall for that lie. It is absolutely impossible for another person to be another person's peace. God is the only peace. Jesus is the only peace, because peace comes from within, and you can't get inside another person. So that's the lie society tells you, that you can be a man's peace. What you can do is you can create an atmosphere of peace. You can create a safe space for that man to get his healing. You can be that place of peace, or the atmosphere, the orchestrator of the peace, and not allow a lot of drama to come into your relationships. And you can have standards that lets everybody know, we don't tolerate that here. But as far as being that man's peace, you absolutely cannot. That is not my assignment, and that is not your assignment. He gonna have to get that for himself, just like you did. And just understand, every new relationship, you guys, is scary. That's why I beg you, do not rush into these relationships. There are so many things going on in this world. There are so many people hiding mental illness and not taking their medications and knowing how to put on a facade. Take the time. You owe it to yourself to take the time to get past the superficial. That way you can recognize when a man is not healed, sis. Because you deserve better for all that you've gone through, and his healing is not your assignment. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Thank you just for always supporting Sister I Got You. And I pray that something I said helps you not make some of the mistakes that I've made. I thank God for my journey and what I've had to go through, because if I could just help one woman, if I can just say something to help her not have to go through that pain, not have to be broken over and over and over again, and have to be healed just multiple times from the same thing, then it's all worth it. It's all worth it. And I feel like that's what Sister I Got You is about, is us putting our experiences out there so that we can keep somebody else from having to go through some of the things that we had to go through. You guys, I love y'all, and I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. I'm finna fix me something to eat because your girl is tired. It's been a day. Anyway, I love y'all, and I will see you guys later. All right. Be blessed. Stay safe. Talk to you later. Bye.